stand. George, please, the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a moment of silence. Okay. Agenda approval. What did you want to put in here?
Mr. Chair, I would ask that we make one minor adjustment to the agenda, and that would be to, under item 10E, that we move E, F, and G, each down a letter, and E, we do board appointments, and to address the open spot on the Board of Health.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Yes.
Seeing that, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Approval of the October 11th, 2022 regular minutes, October 25th, 2022 special meetings. Y'all had time to look at that?
Mr. Chair, having reviewed them that were sent to us prior to the meeting electronically and finding them in order, I move that we approve both sets of minutes as they were submitted by the clerk.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Next is public comment. Mr. Keith Ray, you're up first.
Mr. Chair, does my time start before I give you these handouts or after?
Started when you come in the door.
Time's up, Keith.
All right, thanks.
Starts when you get up there and go to talk.
All right, sounds good.
A hard crowd.
It is a tough crowd. I tell you what, you take one and pass it down.
We'll do it. Thank you, Keith.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
All right, I am Keith Ray, and I am coming to this board meeting to talk to you gentlemen as the president of the Laurel Community Center organization. I do want to thank the present board for their service. I know this is probably the last meeting for 3 of the board members, and I do look forward to working with Matt Wechtel and Michael Garrison and the newly elected commissioners in the future. I'm coming with an understanding that there might be some monies in the budget from the American Relief or Rescue Plan, and I am asking, really hoping, that you could provide some discretionary funding for our organization to make improvements to the Laurel Community Center. I believe that this request will help to meet the needs and the population of the Laurel area for sure, and some of the rest of Madison County, including but not limited to areas of health, public safety, food security, rehabilitation, education, etc. What I have given you is some of the history of our organization. As you can see, there is a picture, and I know Donnie, Norris, Craig, Matt is familiar. This is what one of our citizens took this picture, Steve Tweed. This is what Laurel School looked like, the old campus. After it closed in 2015, this is a picture that was taken in 2017. We had a meal site at that campus, but that's about it. And I got involved when the meal site was to be closed down. There was a failing septic. It was a treatment center that went into the creek. It failed. They were pumping and transferring the sewage from the meal site to Hot Springs and putting it in the municipal sewage treatment. We came before the school board to get that campus declared surplus. They did. Donnie, I'm sure, remembers what we went through. Then it was reverted to the county commission, And in this materials that I gave you, originally, we would have loved to have leased that, like most of the other community centers in Madison County. But at that time, I think there had been some failures from community development clubs and organizations, and the Board of Commissioners was not interested in leasing. What is that?
3 minutes.
Dr. Wilcox said we couldn't say good morning. It's a school board meeting in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hey, Keith,
Next up is Chihuahua Landis.
email us the rest of it.
What?
Yeah.
Email us the rest of it.
Yeah.
What's the name?
All right. My name is Chio Landis, and I'm a lifelong resident of Shelton Laurel. I'm here to advocate for the western and northern sections of our county. I went to school at Laurel and have chosen to stay here to raise my family. I'm serving as the vice president of the Hot Springs Elementary PTO, where my kids attend school, and for the past year and a half, I've served as the Laurel Community Center's administrator. The Laurel Community Center Organization, or LCCO, has grown quickly in the past few years, validating that there is a true need in our community for a place where we can all come together. We are a resource hub for our community where resources are few and far between. LCCO has had tremendous support from grantors, donors, as they see the need we are filling in their community. However, this hasn't happened without unwavering support from our board of directors and committed volunteers. Our grants committee has been awarded over $111,000 in competitive grants, and we've received over $202,000 in community support, donations, and other contributions. And we've just been awarded the Calico Cat Award from WNC Communities, recognizing over $100,000 in renovations and improvements that have just been completed this past fiscal year. We've spent, since 2019, approximately $50,000 on septic and plumbing, over $35,000 on upgrades to more efficient heating and air, over $11,000 in electrical work, over $20,000 in roof repairs. Additionally, $50,000 in repairs to the old ag building have been completed. These are huge accomplishments that we are very proud of. A lot of hard work has gone into our organization and community thus far. We have over 50 volunteers that put in 4,000 hours yearly, most of which are skilled laborers. We are so grateful for all the support that we have received, but we also want to make sure that we keep this momentum going. We want to continue to be a resource and provide services and opportunities for everyone in our community. We especially want to provide a space for the youth to grow and thrive in our community. Laurel kids now go to Hot Springs Elementary, but we want to remain a constant for them right here in our community as they grow up. LCCO plays a very important role here in the lower income section of the county that otherwise would be without these resources and opportunities that we are working hard to provide. We ask that you support us as we continue to grow as an organization and strengthen our community in the coming months and years. The roof over our building is the shell that protects our assets and the ability for us to remain here for our community. We have just been invited to apply for a $100,000 grant for the roof and had $10,000 of additional contributions for this project. Please help us in these efforts as we have proven ourselves worthwhile investment to so many. Will you do the same?
Thank you.
Next up is Ms. Barbara Zimmerman. Barbara?
Hi, I'm Barbara Zimmerman with the Laurel Community Center. I'm the treasurer. And specifically, we're asking for funding to help us put a new roof on the Laurel Community Center, the old building and the new building. Those buildings together comprise 22,000 square feet of a building complex. Specifically, the vital services that Laurel Community Center provide. Number one, we're the polling place, the Laurel Precinct polling place. We provide a safe, convenient, spacious, well-organized space for elections to more than 1,200 voters in the county. We are also the site for the French Broad Electric Membership High-Speed Internet for the entire Laurel community, which serves 800-plus households. We provide free campus-wide Wi-Fi and open access internet room to the community. We provide space for the Shelton Laurel Mill site, which serves 11,220 meals per year to seniors. If you multiply 55 meals a day times the number of weeks that we supply those meals. Many meals are delivered by volunteers. We also have a welcome center. We set up a welcome center that was funded by the Madison County Tourism Development organization, and we provide info about the county and places of interest for recreation such as hiking and fishing. We also display works of art in our welcome center. We provide learning and activity spaces. We have 3 spaces dedicated to learning in our community. The Laurel River Room, which is a science-based classroom, which is focusing on ecology, especially water quality. We provide professional level workshops for environmental professionals and Madison County teachers. We also have a computer lab, and we are in talks with AB Tech right now to develop some collaborative classworks with them, hopefully based on the same model as what's happening at Spring Creek. We have refitted the former library to a multi-purpose education space for such things as yoga, workshops. We have a wonderful gym, and we provide basketball 2 times a week with many of our high school students participating at no cost. We also are set up for pickleball, volleyball, and ping pong. We have spaces for dances, plays, movies, flea markets. We provide short-term rental spaces in our community for parties and reunions. We provide affordable rental spaces in our community that are not available. Those classrooms we have converted to affordable rental spaces for entrepreneurs in our community. Please help us keep a roof on our facility. Thank you.
Next up is Bobby Franklin.
Evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mine will be a little less than 3 minutes. I'm here to basically say 2 things. We've spent $20,000 on the roof that's irreparable, and we have got it to where it's not leaking. That's the basic scenario. We have applied for a grant. We've done this twice. The only way we can get this grant, or part of this grant that we've applied for, is we've got to have another participating party that will give us from $50,000 to $75,000 to $100,000. We've got a roof that is going to be a rubber roof. Hopefully we replace this with. This roof had a 10-year warranty. It's been on there 22 years. If it makes it through the winter, we're lucky. But we would like to ask for a plain donation of at least $75,000 to help cover the cost of a $200,000 roof. If you feel it in your heart to give more, we'd appreciate it. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Bobby. Next up is Philip Cannon. Philip Carroll.
My name's Philip Carroll. I ain't much of a talker, but my complaint or gripe or whatever you want to say is our centers, our communities, our centers where we take our garbage. They need some upproving. They need some gravel. The fences are all to pieces. There's trash behind the fences. And my complaint is we need gravel in them centers, cause Yancey County, Mitchell counties are paved. Every time I've ever called down here to say anything about it, they say they can't put it on account of the big trucks. Well, the big trucks is on the asphalt in Yancey and Mitchell County, and they don't have to pay no disposal fee. So that's I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Philip.
Thanks, Philip. Thanks, sir.
Next up is Ms. Selma Watt. You didn't sign up? No. Okay. So I think Abby probably signed you up there. Next up,
You want to come? Yeah. Okay.
Jim Tibbetts.
Good evening, Jim.
How y'all doing tonight?
All right.
Good, you are.
All right, I am. Thanks for asking. We're on the historic moment here. I'd like to thank WLOS and Taylor Thompson for coming out to cover this, as they're going to vote on this biomass moratorium. And it's possible there could be some weak excuses like, well, we're lame duck and we shouldn't be voting, or we need more time to analyze that. And if that's the case, I think you ought to just come on out and say that you're an advocate of high impact land use, heavy manufacturing for Madison County, and that you want to favor low paying jobs and pollute the industry and our environment, and just be strong about your stance. But I don't think that's going to happen. And so I'm really here to celebrate the great job and talk about how the system worked here. Alan Wyatt did a great job with the planning board. He listened to the people of our community, he listened to the evidence, and he is bringing this moratorium proposal to you tonight for a vote. And I can't applaud the effort of how our community got together and made this happen. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Next on the agenda is Mr. Matt Weck.
All right. So, I appreciate the opportunity to do this. As you know, as Jim referred to them as lame ducks, but I'm not gonna call them that. They're my colleagues, have been our colleagues now for 4 years for Craig and Mark, and 8 years, but it seemed a heck of a lot longer for Norris. We were betting last night that it was 12 years, but it turned out it was 8. So it feels a lot longer than that, but I know it does for him too. But I appreciate it very much. On behalf of the county, we appreciate the service that you guys have provided to the county. It's been a pleasure serving with you. We've not always agreed on everything, but then again, as I think it was General Patton said, if everybody thinks alike, then nobody's thinking. So we wanted to give you a little bit of recognition. I guess parting gift, I guess you would say so much. But the first one is in recognition. They all read the same, but first one we'll do Craig first because he's on top for me here. So in recognition and gratitude of dedication and service to the citizens of Madison County from 2018 to 2022 by the Madison County Board of Commissioners, this 16th day of November 2022. And I'd like to present this to Craig Goforth. We're going to get a picture at the end if that's okay. Let's do it. All three of these gentlemen have at various times been either the chair of the board or the vice chair of the board. And it's not a job to be taken lightly. It's a lot of work. And I appreciate them for doing that on behalf of our citizens. The next one is for Commissioner Mark Snelson in recognition and gratitude of dedication of service to the citizens of Madison County from 2018 to 2022 by the Madison County Board of Commissioners on this 16th day of November 2022. Thank you, Mark. And last but not least, I'd like to recognize Morris in recognition of gratitude and dedication and service to the citizens of Madison County from 2014 to 2022 by the Madison County Board of Commissioners this 16th day of November 2022. And in Norris, I've had the opportunity to serve with Norris the longest. We've been on fairly close to almost the same amount of time. He's got me back a couple years right now, but Norris in that time has received the Order of the Longleaf Pine from the governor. Norris has served as our interim county manager for the last couple of years. He has represented us multiple times with Land of Sky. Is currently the treasurer of Land of Sky, correct? Vice chair. I'm sorry, he was treasurer last year, and also with the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. When I grow up, I hope to be a little bit more like Norris when it comes to public service, and I appreciate Norris for his service to the county, and we'll present this plaque to Norris Gentry. Would you guys mind coming around? We'd like to, Michael, we'll give my hand. We need to get a picture for the newsletter. Come on, guys. Get all of you get in here. Come on. All right.
A little closer.
Ready for Noah?
Yeah, ready.
I feel it. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Gentlemen, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Not sure which one will end up in the newsletter, Craig.
Well, who knows? Right? Appreciate that, Matt.
No worries.
Like you said, we've not always agreed on everything, but both of us was in the same interest, all of us for the county. You know, over the last 4 years, I guess we've went up in pay, we've done a pay band, made lots and lots and lots of leaps forward for the employees and for the citizens. So it's been good working with Matt and Michael. Like I said, we talked about it afterwards. Me and Matt, some people think we hate one another, but once we go through those doors, we're not like we are here up front. Matt's pretty conservative and Michael's a talker. So, give these three new ones a chance to work with them and see what they can do. So don't be too hard on them.
Thank you, Chair.
Do I have a comment? I'm lame duck, as Jim said. I'm going out the door, but I'm just kidding, Jim. I got a sense of humor. I've been married 42,000 years. I got a sense of humor. What I'd like to say is thank you to the Madison County citizens. I was talking with my oldest son about this, and he asked me, he said, Dad, are you okay? And I said, I'm fine. I said, I had the pleasure of being an elected official for 22 and a half years. That's longer than most marriages. These 4 years have been interesting. I've enjoyed working with those men about 90% of the time. They'd say the same thing. But I think it was a good balance, and I enjoyed that. We leave this place in better financial shape than when I came in the door. As the chairman said, our schools are doing well. DSS is where it needs to be. I'm going to hopefully keep working on a couple of committees. They've asked me if I would do that, and I'm honored to do that. So my thing is just, it's been an honor to serve. It's been good. It's been a challenge. It's not until the two new ones sit here. It's a different world. It's a different world than the school board. This is there, but we have a good staff. I tip my hat.
Yes.
If I had one, to the people of this county, but mainly I appreciate your confidence that you've had in me for these 22 and a half years. And I look forward to working with these two men at the far end of the table and the new ones coming. I called all three of them that night. And I meant what I said, that I want to help this county move forward. It's not about me. It's not about them. It's about how this county can go. We're in a great place. God has blessed us. And I leave us with this. May the Lord be with us all. Amen.
Let's not forget Donnie over here working with Big Duke fan over here on the left.
Thank you for the
And you girls.
It has been a real pleasure to have had these 8 years and what's going to be close to 3 years as the interim county manager. When you close on being 80 and you look back at all the different things that you've done in your life, spending much of it after I got out of the Air Force right here in Madison County, coming through the school system and doing other things, this has been the singular most rewarding experience. And I want to thank the citizens of Madison County for giving me the opportunity for the last 8 years and for the wonderful community that we live in. And Craig referred to it, and all of us occasionally forget just how wonderful a place this is. We are all blessed. And I have been blessed to have had the opportunity to live most of my life here in Madison County and come back, look forward to the future, and may God bless everyone. Take care. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you, Lawrence. Come on. All right, back to business.
Back to business. Number 5 on the agenda is the public hearing proposed limited moratorium on the biomass energy facilities.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to present at this time an ordinance, Madison County, adopting a limited moratorium on biomass energy facilities. This moratorium has been posted online, it's been available for public review. It is part of the meeting agenda, and I would move at this time that we open for a public hearing and public comment on the moratorium, limited moratorium for biomass energy facilities. I move that we open the public hearing.
Second.
Discussion, do we not have John Noor?
John is available by phone if
Okay.
we need him.
All right, I didn't know, if
No
he was gonna
one-
make any kind of formal presentation or not.
No one signed up for this, but if anybody wants to speak.
I can talk some more if y'all want, but I'll be quiet.
So, do we have anybody that wants to speak on biomass? Once. All right.
Hearing none, Mr. Chair, I'd move that the public hearing be closed.
Second that, Mr. Wector.
Discussion. All in favor?
The hearing is closed.
Mr. Chair, seeing as how we've had a public hearing, I make a motion that we move forward with the ordinance for the limited moratorium on biomass energy facilities.
I will second that motion.
Discussion. All in favor? Right. Next on the agenda is Ross Young. Ross, yeah, Ross.
Y'all didn't give them much of the news. That's
You doing, Ross?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Thanks for coming.
Yep, take care.
In your packet, you should have received a memorandum of agreement between Madison County government and the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. If you've read that, what that's describing is a pretty one-way agreement where we get the benefit and we don't cost us anything. So I've never really seen one that's that lopsided in our favor. But that agreement is for us to basically have access to a master's level student that's interested in the future of working with county government down the road.
Sure.
And he will work with us on a number of things. ARPA pays for his salary, and in return, he helps with any of the ARPA type questions. That's kind of the first thing on the list. But he has the opportunity to help us with a number of other things. Also in your packet is a draft version of a work plan, which gives you an idea of some of the things we've thought about that he could work on. NCACC has looked at that. Jason King is his supervisor. He likes that plan as well. Norris has looked at it, and you guys have all seen it now. So that's kind of an idea of what this young man will be working on. We've met him. His name is Matthew Wilson, and he is excellent, very intelligent, very fun to work with. He's already helped me on 2 or 3 different occasions on some just answering questions that I had asked him over email. So in front of you is an MOA. I would like for you to vote to sign or not sign that MOA.
Ross, do we have a kind of a tentative plan as far as managing him,
So,
supervisory?
so his direct supervision happens with NCACC, but here locally, it can be any and all of us working with him. I hope to get to work with him directly one day a week for sure. The indication is he might get to come more than that. And if he does, then we will need to discuss kind of how that plays out.
Very good.
But Mandy and Carrie and I have talked a lot
This
about it.
memorandum of agreement.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Sounds good.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Ross. Next up is Mr. Carrie Ledford.
Good evening, Carrie.
Good evening, gentlemen. So before you find for your approval, item A, the budget amendment number 5. This amendment records the donation to your library from the Friends of Madison County Library. You'll also see the addition to the Register of Deeds salary lines as agreed upon at your October 11th meeting. Find the addition of $25,000 to the emergency management for the purchase of the automated external defibrillators as agreed to during the work session on October 25th. Also, the recording of the additional revenue generated by the quarter-cent sales tax in the amount of $52,654, and these funds will be distributed to the Board of Education pending your approval.
Terry, can you give us a little explanation as to what the juvenile inmate education cost? Where that figure came from and what it's about, what it's for?
Where are you seeing this at? The 184,000?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the agreement we have with the school system for them to come and, I believe, go into the jail and with the juveniles. And the reason it's on the amendment this time is because we did not pay it last year. They did not invoice us for FY21, although we have to pay it. So we had to increase this budget to pay last year's.
So will that make them current then?
Yes.
Yes.
And it is
So we
in,
won't get another surprise like this in the future?
no, it is in this year's budget, FY23's budget. They just haven't requested that funds yet, those funds.
Was it 184 a year or half that?
184 a year.
And that's accounted for in the contract with the state,
That's correct.
100%?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make the motion approved.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Next is item B, which is October's financial reports. You'll see on the first page that we are 33.33% into FY23. And on the second page, for all funds, we've received 25.65% of our revenues, and our expenses are at 30.63%.
Awesome.
You still okay with the reserves and contingency?
Yes, sir. I have one other thing that I have not written down, but just yesterday we received, I guess it's going to be our third installment of the opioid settlement money, and that amounts $63,084.22, and that'll be included in next month's budget amendment.
And that'll be it for this fiscal year then, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Sorry to spring that on you, Carrie. I didn't get a chance to ask you ahead of time, sorry. Thank you.
Ms. Diane.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm just here for the approval of the, what month am I in? October's releases and refunds.
Let's look at it.
Make a motion. I didn't see anything unusual.
Second. Discussion.
And I do not yet have
All
a
in
month.
Not Mr. Michael.
I don't have my monthly update yet from Kenya, so I don't have anything as far as that goes.
Just say that. There's nothing on the
She does.
Not this month.
Okay.
Not yet.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Diane.
Next up on the board is Fairview Water. Keith, you want to come up? What's going on out Fairview is a community the other side of Hot Springs, sometimes called Blood River. The Keith can explain the drill well and well drilling stuff. What it runs into, there's about 28 or 30 houses on it. There's about 21 houses using it now, if I'm not correct, 21, 23. Come January 1st, the state may shut it down. They have survived off of, they pay, what, $32 a month, the 20-some houses. That's about $6,000 or $7,000. The water's muddy, muddy. This is Keith Webb from Gill. He came down, met with the board from the Fairview Water, and also somebody from the town of Hot Springs, where we discussed the best thing to do. The thing about drilling wells out there, they have to steel case them, and they're from $16,000 to $20,000 a well. I paid $16,000 for mine. So everybody around there can't pay that for wells, and it's hard to get people to come and drill wells because you've got to steel case it. So they've come up with a plan to, with Hot Springs, to supply water out there. So we're trying to figure out where the money's coming from. I know we have the 12 million. That's going to be the 213 corridor. But we're trying to go through legislation and get it that way. It's about a little over $2.5 million. They would run a 6-inch line. I'll let Keith take over from here and explain what that $2.6 million would do.
Well, as Mark explained, we've looked at the system for the last 15 years. It's a water system that was put in by sort of as a private system, but under North Carolina rules, it's a public system because it serves more than 15 customers. So it has to have a certified operator. That certified operator is retiring in January. So without somebody stepping up to be the operator, they will be in non-compliance in January. So what I was asked to do is, what would it cost to extend and water from the town of Hot Springs can connect into the system? And given the material that system's built out of and its condition, my cost estimate of $2.8 million is to run about 2 miles of water line from Hot Springs, connecting to the town's tank at 2570 and a pump station, pumping out to Fairview, building a new 100,000 gallon tank. And the reason for the 100,000 gallon tank, if we're going to run water, we should provide fire protection. So that storage tank provides fire protection. It includes 6-inch lines, and it includes a pump station. And as Mr. Snelson commented, I prepared the estimate at the request so that we could try to find funding for those improvements. And that cost estimate provides the basis for the funding. The immediate action that somebody has to think about is what happens in January 1st if the operator, the ORC, retires. Who's going to maintain the system, and who covers that cost? I've talked to the operator of Hot Springs' system. They're willing to take it on. Hot Springs contract operates their system. That operator would do Fairview for a cost of $500 a month, plus the cost for the monthly testing. And if Fairview Water decided they wanted to let that company also do the billing and collections, they would do that for an additional $100. But the $32 a month probably will not amortize that monthly cost. So that's just provided for your information. And I'll be glad to ask any questions. As Mr. Snelson mentioned, it's very hard to develop a well in the Hot Springs area just because of the geology there. Many years ago, I've been blessed to work in this county a long time. I helped the Hot Springs develop their current well supplies down at the Housing Authority. That one well cost the town of Hot Springs 22 years ago $185,000 to build because of the way it has to be constructed, because of the limestone and the geology in the area.
What would that cost now, Keith?
500,000 maybe.
Wow. We also met with Mark Pless, Matt. Mark's working his magic, and you know, if there's money out there, he does find it. He has for 4 years. So it's not. We just don't know where that's going to go, and what we are going to need is for the Fairview Water Board and the Hot Springs Town Board get together as quick as they can to get a plan up to who's going to run this, because to go ask for that amount of money, they want names, they want stuff in line for.
They gotta have a plan.
Yes, they gotta have a plan.
And what Representative Pless told us is something the county will have to think about, is based on the parties that are in play, the county may need to be the one that would be the applicant for them to try to get the funding. And then memorandum of understanding or future operation, maintenance, and ownership between Fairview Water, the county, and the town of Hot Springs. So between now and January 1st, we will need to work with Hot Springs and Fairview to make that happen.
And the sooner the better.
Keith, the only question I have is, I know that the discussion was, and you've got $228,000 for the service taps. That doesn't include from the tap to the actual house?
It does. What I've included in my cost is for each of the connections that are on the water system, that we're putting in basically a brand new water system. We would put a water meter at the right of way of the road, but we would run a new service line from the right of way to 10 feet outside the house where they would connect. We won't run inside the house, but we would connect outside the house.
I know that was a concern, so it's good. And Mr. Chair, is it safe to say you spent $16,000 on your well? What color was your water?
Brown. Brown.
And under North Carolina law, in order to build a public water well, not an individual well, we have to own 100-foot radius around that well and control that 100-foot radius. So that's part of the challenges of siting a new well site, is finding that amount of property that doesn't have streams near it or any other things that could jeopardize the quality of water.
What's that?
You got anything?
No, I've got Keith's report, and we're gonna work with Representative Pless and see what the legislature can come up with to try to help us, whether it be a budget earmark or whether it be a grant or whatever.
We need to have that ready by January 1, you say.
Who's that?
We're going to be operational side.
Yeah, the operational service.
I think Fairview needs to have their plan completely together. I don't know,
Before
does this
January.
comprise the whole thing?
Yes.
Is this their whole plan at this point?
Yes.
I think also though, there has to be, the stuff between Fairview and the town of Hot Springs, all that stuff needs to be ironed out before we go to the state and start asking.
I would imagine they would need some legal paperwork drawn up for that.
That'd be a better question for Donnie than me.
Think so, Donnie.
I just pretend to be a lawyer sometimes.
They're not, what do you call it, whenever the city limits go on out, they're not.
Annexed.
Yeah, annexed, they're not annexing. They're just offering a service.
They're going to be they would be operating the water system. They would be the operators, so you would need to have an agreement or an MOU between the county and the town. If the county's going to apply for the funding, and they will be the grantee, then they would construct it. There would have to be an MOU between the county and the town such that when it is constructed, the town will take it over and operate it. You would need that part of it. You could do an MOU before you apply for the grant, but Matt is right. You're going to have all of this packaged before you can take anything to the legislature and expect them to give you any money out of it.
And they probably won't even start their budget stuff until February or so. So, the budget this year originates in the House. And then, on the Senate side, Senator Heiss is the chair of the Appropriations Committee on the Senate side. So we've got a favorable setup if we can get the state what they need in order to try to help solve the problem.
On an interim basis, you're not going to get funding and you're not going to get this constructed anytime in the next few months. I mean, the best thing to do is to contract with the town of with the town of Hot Springs, and have somebody provide this oversight to, what is it, ORC? Is that
That's
what you
correct.
call
The
it?
operator and responsible
That's
charge.
going to keep the water going and the system open, and then, and work on what you can do to change that. But you're going to have that's going to have to be in place on January 1.
Yes.
Wasn't there another member of that community that was trying to get certified? Did that not happen?
Yes, yes, it did, and he's the one that does the hot springs water, and he's.
Oh, okay.
There's different sets of tests,
Okay.
and I talked to him, see, he likes maybe one or two more tests, and he'll be done.
Okay, so he's still not quite ready.
John?
One of the other things we talked about at the meeting was that, assuming all this takes place and the county is successful in finding the funding, and the memorandum of understanding between the county and Hot Springs takes place, it probably would be prudent to disband the Fairview water system community officially and legally.
And make it formally a part of the Hot Springs system.
Correct.
Cool. And then my last question for you, Keith, how much more business we got to do with you to start getting a volume discount?
You get it now.
Anybody else got any questions for him?
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you. We'll see you Friday.
All right.
Thanks, Keith.
Next on the agenda is Mr. Norris Gentry, and do not get long-winded.
This is going to be very straightforward, Mr. Chairman. This Friday, the next group meeting with Keith and McGill Von Melton will take place with the Marshall and Mars Hill folks, and with Matt and I and those groups, moving forward on the Marshall Mars Hill Water Sewer Project. The official report by Karen Gravel, of Florida ADEX Sergeant out of Atlanta, for the courthouse committee that Michael and I sat on. That final presentation from Karen will be next Monday at the courthouse and for the courthouse working group. And I think it's reasonable to assume, Michael, that we will be prepared to come to the board in December with the recommendations of the courthouse committee. As Carrie mentioned earlier, we have received the second money box for the first of the opioid settlements. There's a lot of chatter out there about how much more that may be. Just in the last couple of days, Walmart settled for multi-billions of dollars. We don't know how much more money is going to be coming down the pipeline the next 2 or 3 years, but again, there will be even more opioid settlement monies coming in the near future. Brad is working with John Doerr and the staff for the planning board and scheduling some School of Government staff development. All of the various ongoing grant projects are moving along on schedule, and we are getting updated estimates to present to the board as early as December for review and consideration of the projected possible expansion of the health department that's been in consideration now for about 3 years. was put on hold due to lack of funding and also high construction costs, which have now started to come down. And for additional work on the animal shelter, we have issued POs to use the money which was in the budget. But the animal shelter needs a huge amount of work, and we will be coming back with some additional recommendations in order to complete the work that needs to be done on the animal shelter. Okay. Now, moving along, the next item that you have is the formal request from the school system. And Carrie and I have confirmed this. These are both pass-through requests. The Public School Building Repair and Renovation Fund for various projects across Madison County schools totaling $201,750.50, and a drawdown of their lottery funds of $106,000 for debt service payments. Those two requests do require board approval for Carrie and I to proceed to actually pass those monies. Once it's approved, it goes off to Raleigh and then comes back, and those funds are passed through.
It's already in there.
It's in, but it takes a formal request on a formal approval.
And just so, Mr. Chair and Mr. County Manager, just so the public understands that money that the school system is asking for, nearly all of it is for either communications upgrades, but the vast majority of it, just by my calculations, appears to be various security upgrades for each individual campus.
Well, and I don't mind actually walking through without specific numbers. It will have a phone enhancement system throughout the school system. It affects Madison High School, Brush Creek, Hot Springs, and Mars Hill Elementaries, and primarily having to do with security. Yes, sir.
And didn't we get funding from the state? A certain amount of money for.
There is
safety?
additional funding that is coming, but it does not involve this. This is a standard procedure for what is known as Public School Building Repair and Renovation Fund and for the lottery.
Correct. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Okay. Right. Ross has been working with us applying for additional funds in the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund, known as LADF, and this is part of the American Rescue Plan. Counties that have federal lands where we do not receive taxes are getting additional blocks of money. Madison County over 22 and 23 will receive $346,980.04. That will come to us in halves. The final paperwork is about to be completed, and once those funds are delivered to us, they come as non-restricted general funds. They have virtually no restrictions whatsoever when they come to us.
Who's that from?
And this is part of the American Rescue Plan. And there are 57 counties in North Carolina that are eligible, Madison County being one of which. And our share of that will be an additional $346,980.04. All of that should be finalized prior to the December meeting. And we've been assured that a matter of days after we submit, we will have the first half of those funds.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you, Ross.
Now moving down to surplus property. You will notice that we have 3 bids on Pacific property. All of these come from one bidder. I'll let you have that in your material.
Mr. Chair, I reviewed these bids and quite frankly find all 3 of them insulting, and I would move that all 3 of them be rejected.
I will second that.
Discussion. All in favor?
Agreed. Right. Now, moving right along, I believe that we have
Board
appointment, and then we will have one other thing before we go to closed session.
So we've had just a quick refresher. We've had a board of an open spot due to resignation on the Board of Health That's been kind of postponed a couple of different times and needed to be addressed. That's why I asked that it be put on the agenda, and I appreciate you guys entertaining that tonight. Many of the positions on the Board of Health come with certain requirements. This specific seat on the Board of Health requires that the individual be a registered nurse. The Board of Health, and as the commissioner representative on the Board of Health, I'm coming directly with their request. And the Board of Health has requested, and we have an application for this individual, Mr. James Massey, that he be appointed to fill that position on that open position on the Board of Health, and I'll make that motion at this time.
I'll second it. Discussion, none? All in favor? Good.
All right. At this time, I would like for Brooke to come forward. She has an item for us.
So I am coming to ask you to approve Employee Appreciation Day, again for this year. The dates to use the Employee Appreciation Day are a little bit different. They will be, if approved, from November 21st to May 31st, 2023. I'm asking for the extra time to maybe help law enforcement and the 911 dispatchers and solid waste employees have more of an opportunity to use the Employee Appreciation Day. But I'm just asking.
We did that last year.
We've done it for the past 2 years.
I'll make that motion.
Second. And just for the public purposes, in the past, we would do a countywide sort of a Christmas holiday dinner for all of our county employees, and because of COVID, we had to find an alternate way to show our appreciation to our employees. And this was the way that we solved that problem, and it's become way more popular than having a dinner. So I suspect we might be married to this idea for a while. But anyway, no further comments from me.
All in favor?
All right, Mr. Chairman, at this time, we need to go to closed session.
For legal, NCGS 143-318, period 11A3 and A6. For legal advice personnel.
Move that we go to closed session.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
All right, thank you, Jamie.
The landfill would like to request to hire Richard Thomas as a substitute collection center attendant.
Make that a motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Okay.
The Development Services Department would like to request to hire Greg Meadows as a code enforcement officer.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, with no other business to come before this meeting, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Discussion. All right.